I want to talk about open triads or spread triads, as they're sometimes called. They're a really beautiful sound on the guitar. To show you what I mean, like here's a closed triad or closed position triad. When you have three notes on three adjacent strings, those notes are as close together as they can be. Or at least, for a triad, when you've got the three notes of a triad. When you're playing on adjacent strings, all of these shapes are closed position triads. Open position triads, or spread triads, as they're sometimes called. We build those by dropping the middle note of a closed triad down an octave. So like if you know this G triad I'm playing here, the notes are B, D, and G. That's the first inversion G major triad. Third on the bottom, fifth is in the middle, root is on top. If we want to drop the fifth down an octave, that's on this string, we could drop it down here, right? That's D, that's D. So we could start here. Might be easier to see if I use three different fingers there. So we're going to take this D down here, and we wind up with this. That's a G major triad in it's open or spread. It's no longer in first inversion though. That's important. We started in first inversion, but by taking this note, the fifth, down to the bottom, now we would consider this a second inversion triad because it's got the fifth on the bottom. I know that might be confusing, but that's it. Like if the root is on the bottom, then it's not an inversion. We would just say that's root position. If the fifth is on the bottom, that's second inversion. If the third is on the bottom, that's first inversion. Whether it's closed or opened, a small shape or a big spread out shape, it doesn't matter. If the third is on the bottom, that's first inversion. If the fifth is on the bottom, that's second inversion. That's true for major, minor, augmented, diminished, any triad you could play. All of that is true. That is always true. So coming back to open triads, they're such a nice sound. To me, they make the guitar sound kind of bigger, which is maybe counterintuitive because we're playing still just three notes. It's not like we're playing the whole chord and then using the whole guitar. We're just using three notes, but just the openness kind of, to me, it makes the guitar sound bigger. So I like to use these sounds. It's almost, I want to say pianistic. It's not necessarily pianistic, but wasn't all just triads, but mostly triads and mostly spread triads. So I just want to show you, because I was talking about these kind of shapes with Nick Z here on the channel, and he found that some of the shapes were hard to grab, and I think what was happening is he was using this formula and saying, okay, if I'm going to drop the middle note down an octave, maybe he was playing it in another place, like open D, and now, well, this isn't too bad, but if you wanted to do this in another key, even, like a whole step higher, that's quite awkward. So I don't know that that's a shape that Nick found, but it's one that you could find yourself in if you were just asking yourself how to drop the middle note down an octave. So I want to show you the shapes that I use for open or spread triads. I think they're pretty, most of them anyway, are pretty easy grabs. So I just want to make sure that if you're interested in these sounds, that you're not trying to reinvent the wheel. There are shapes that are pretty easy to grab, and you should start with those. So before I get into the movable aspect of these, I'm just going to show you how to play them, how to find them in open position within the chords that I'm sure you already know. So let's all play a C chord, and I'm going to play a version of C that has the fifth down at the bottom. So I'm using all 4 fingers, right? So that would be the 6th note, all the possible notes. So let's find the spread triads within that. So those are going to be on strings 6, 4, and 2. So that's got the 5th on the bottom, so that's 2nd inversion. We can also play on strings 5, 3, and 1. Now we've got the root on the bottom, so that's not really an inversion at all. It's just a root position C major spread triad. So again, within this familiar grip, there's 2 spread triad possibilities. There's strings 6, 4, 2 and strings 5, 3, 1. Okay. Now let's play an E chord. And we'll do the same thing. 6, 4, 2. Okay, that doesn't really give us a real triad. We need a 3rd, and if we just play those strings, we've got a doubled root and a 5th. So let's rethink that. Where is the 3rd? There it is. Great. So strings 6, 5, and 3. That's a sound. And then there's another one we can get in the same form on strings 5, 3, and 1. So we've got root position, and we've got 2nd inversion. Let's try another shape. How about D? What I'm going to do with D is I'm going to play the form of D that has the 3rd down low, so we can use all 6 strings. If you can't do that with your thumb, you're welcome to do this with 4 fingers. I find the thumb pretty easy, and this guitar's got a fairly narrow neck. So let's find the open position triads here. There's 1 on strings 6, 4, and 3. That's got the 3rd on the bottom. F sharp is the 3rd of D. So that's a 1st inversion. And we can also play root position on strings 4, 3, and 1. So that's easy. That's easy. If you wanted to play 2nd inversion with the 5th on the bottom, you could do that like this. Open A, F sharp, D. So that's strings 5, 4, and 2. And that shape is also, if you wanted to make it a movable shape where we didn't have to rely on the open string, that would look like this, which really comes out of the C shape. We saw that one a moment ago when we were playing the C shape. So, but you can relate it to D as well if you think of the root here, D. So we did let's see, what haven't we done? Let's do an A form. We really just have one easy grab here, which is on strings 5, 4, and 2. Let's try the G form. So from here, we could do strings 6, 4, and 2. We could also do strings strings 5, 3, 2, and then close it off at the 3rd fret. So this would be first inversion with the 3rd at the bottom. This would be root position, first inversion. We can also get second inversion on strings 4, 2, and 1. So that's a lot of spread triads that we can play within the familiar shapes that you already know. And as you can see, there's not a lot of crazy stretches or twisty shapes or anything. Let's just see what happens when we want to move those, in case you wanted to play something like B flat instead of these familiar open shapes. Okay, B flat. There's one in root position here, which we just saw a moment ago in the A form. Let's work out the root position one. So root on the 5th string is here. Root on the 6th string is here, which you could, you can relate just to this bar chord that I'm sure you know, but we're just not going to play the whole thing. We've also got one up here, which is like the D shape, but up here now. If we were going to play the whole thing, we could play 11th fret on the B string, but we're not looking for a complete chord. I mean, it's complete, but we're not looking for all strings to sound. We're just looking for a spread triad, which is 3 notes. So here, here, and here. That's all the root in the bottom places we can play it. Now let's do it with the 3rd in the bottom. So we could play it here, which you could think of as part of the G form. You can also play it this way, which maybe almost would think of as like relating to F, if you play F this way with the 3rd in the bottom. So see what I mean? Like this would be the F looking thing. You could also play it here, open D, B flat, F. But we're trying to find movable options. So there's that, there's that. There's a really nice wide open one up here. And not quite so spread out this way. So this would be relating to this D thing. You could also move this up here and have this big wide open sound with the 3rd on the bottom. Even though this is even more spread out than this is, it's still first inversion because the 3rd is in the bottom. And then I can't really get all the way up here because I don't have the frets for it, but that would be possible too. Let's do it with the 5th on the bottom. So there's this shape, which is again just right out of a B flat bar chord. 5th on the bottom, you can play down here, which comes out of like the A shape. But we want to open up the D string so we get the 3rd. What's another one we could do? Oh, like this. You could see that out of the A shape or maybe out of the G shape. Where's 5th at the bottom? Yeah, I guess those are the ones. Yeah, those are the ones I can think of within, this guitar is a 12-fret guitar. Obviously, there's more you can get into. So spend some time with these, work on it, do it in some different keys. These were all the major triads. If you know your fretboard and you know the theory, you can certainly make the major ones into minor. Or diminished. Or augmented. That could also be like that. Or like this. Right, so there's other triads to explore. But start with the majors, start with some familiar keys. get into some unfamiliar keys and try to cover the whole fretboard so that you can map these open triads everywhere. They're a beautiful sound. Let me know if you like these sounds. I'm glad to make another video more about what to do with them, how to use them in day-to-day guitar playing. But for right now, I just wanted you to get your hands on the guitar in these shapes, which I think will be new shapes for many of you. So let me know if you have any questions.